Greetings. I am Legacy Moon, and this is True Crime and Mysteries.
Federal authorities say they have uncovered a scheme to supply people with fake nursing diplomas.
25 people, many of them based in Florida, have been charged with selling the phony diplomas, and now they're facing up to 20 years in prison. News Channel 8's Brittany Muller joining us live with that story. Brittany.
Keith, Jen, good evening. Federal authorities say more than 7,600 fake nursing diplomas have been sold since 2016, and as many as a third of those people with those diplomas are licensed by the state of Florida. For those that put in the hard work, it's disappointing.
I'm very passionate about integrity. It's one of the things that I talk to students about every semester, about academic integrity is so crucial that, nurses are one of the most trusted professions in this country, and we worked hard to earn that reputation.
Hillsborough Community College Associate Dean of Nursing, Marcelyn Penny, says HCC offers rigorous nursing programs that include coursework and clinicals.
There are no shortcuts in nursing, and when you do take a shortcut, sooner or later, it's going to catch up with you.
Federal authorities say 25 people have been arrested for selling fake nursing diplomas issued by 3 accredited South Florida nursing schools that are now shut down. Those include Sacred Heart Institute and Siena College, both in Broward County, as well as Palm Beach School of Nursing in Palm Beach County.
The schools, they prepared and sold fake nursing school diplomas and transcripts to nursing candidates, knowing that the candidates would use those false documents to, 1, sit for nursing board examinations, secure nursing licenses, and 3, ultimately obtain nursing jobs.
Federal agents say the fake diplomas went for $15,000 apiece, netting more than $114 million.
We're going to get in there and we're going to dig in the trenches and we're going to turn this around because that's what we do. That's what nurses do.
Now, Penny believes that this scheme will change the accreditation process as well as the state's role in allowing candidates to sit for their boards. Reporting live tonight in Tampa, Brittany Muller, 8 on your side.
Welcome back, current subscribers, new subscribers, and those of you who are here for the very first time. Welcome. And if you are not subscribed, but you watch me quite frequently, why don't you go on up there and hit the subscribe button and then tap the notification bell so that you know the next time I release a video. For today's video, we are going to be talking about the field of nursing, and I would like to give a shout out to one of my favorite nurses and subscribers, RN Sanders, as well as all of the CNAs, LPNs, RNs, midwives, all of you who have devoted their training and education and time and hearts and souls into the field of nursing. I really appreciate you. The nurses are the first contact. When you go to the office, you sign in with the receptionist. The first contact that you make to discuss whatever issues you have is with the nurse. So nurses are, as far as I'm concerned, sometimes underappreciated for all of the good works that they do. So I'm reading the news and checking on different crimes and things of that nature, as I normally do. And I come across an article where I find out that in January of 2023, federal authorities discovered that there were 3 nursing schools in the state of Florida that had issued more than 7,600 fake nursing degrees. Unreal. Now, this happened between the years of 2016 and 2021. These 3 schools operated under 3 different names, And they were what was considered to be what the feds are calling a diploma mill that sold degrees to individuals for around $15,000 or more. And this allowed them to apply for nursing's license without meeting the academic or clinical requirements. It has been estimated that this scheme netted the proprietors around $114 million. Now, you know, the government, when they do their investigations, they gotta give it a name. So this operation was called Operation Nightingale, and it was led by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Service Office of Inspector General, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, in January, the Department of Justice charged more than 24 people, and these people included school administrators as well as recruiters. They were charged with wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Now, between September 2023 and now, some of these defendants have been convicted and sentenced to over 21 months in prison, while others are still awaiting their sentencing. I may not be able to tell you what the Florida is going on, but I can tell you that obtaining or presenting fake nursing license is nothing new under the sun. Because over 4 years ago, Takeda Teasley did the same thing, and she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So I'll let this news clip play, and we're going to get into a little bit about what she did.
First tonight, she presented herself as a nurse, but now a Grand Rapids woman is accused of faking her credentials. Officials say that she presented a doctored-up nursing license that rightfully belonged to a woman who died years ago.
News 8's Leon Hendricks is breaking this story on this case live at the newsroom for us tonight. Leon?
Brian and Emily, good evening to both of you. The suspect has now been charged criminally and is under investigation by local and state authorities. This bust came after the watchful eye of her latest employer's HR department. It all seemed to be moving along smoothly. A new hire presented this copy of a nursing license and seemed like she was about to be a good fit to the team at the Beacon Hill Assisted Living Facility in Southeast Grand Rapids.
We hire for heart and talent, and she obviously fit a profile for us.
That hire was 43-year-old Takeda Teasley, who at first blush seemed to be a legitimate, licensed practical nurse.
This caught you off guard? Completely.
But her alleged scheme was about to be unraveled with a little investigating by Human Resources. They closely inspected the license and found red flags. Teasley's middle initial was used instead of her full name, and the state had long stopped using this consistent expiration date here. Officials believe she doctored it to appear to be 2021, and the name they believe she simply pasted over top of the real one.
When we presented the reference to the state, it also was not valid there.
It became clear this was a fake when the ID number came back to a license that expired in 2013 for a nurse who spent 30 years in practice and died in 2014.
When we asked for an original document from the candidate, she was unable to produce one.
Teasley is charged with performing an occupation without a license, a misdemeanor punishable by up to 90 days in jail. For her side of the story, we went to her home.
Maybe y'all gonna have to get into somebody else's business, huh? Okay. That's how you make your living, getting in people's business? Answer me.
I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to ask them.
Well, then it might be best if you leave us while you can still answer questions. Do you get me?
No comment there. But the employer she allegedly tried to trick is commenting. Their system caught this, and Teasley was fired while still being trained. Less than 2 weeks on the job.
She never really had any responsibilities here at all. I've been in this business 27 years and have never once seen a licensure issue of this sort.
Teasley has other medical-related roles listed in her past, though it's not clear whether she used forged documents to land those positions.
It's really encouraging to know that we are able to establish what's valid right away.
Now, we do not know if Teasley is working right now. We do know that she has a court date in just a couple of days. We're live in the newsroom. Leon Hendricks, News 8.
One thing that I did not know is that on a nursing license, they always present your full name. I never knew that. I am wondering, did Takeda know that and just didn't care? Or if she's been doing it wrong all along and it was never caught. I'm curious about that. I mean, she couldn't even bother to give the right expiration date. For me, it's like almost a lack of accountability for me, especially when, the reporter went to the house. Now, I know when you've done something wrong or you're in the middle of some mess, the last thing that you want is a news reporter knocking on your door. But I mean, gosh, the man practically got threatened just for asking a question. Continuing on in the state of Michigan, I'd like to tell you about this next nurse, or I should say imposter nurse, that's what I'll call her, Leticia Galarzo. She is 48 years old. She just pled guilty to identity theft and wire fraud. Now, here's what she did. She stole the identity of a licensed nurse, and she worked as this imposter nurse, or pretended to be this imposter nurse, for 2 different healthcare facilities. As I said, this is her second time around the block with these type of charges, because back in 2017 in the state of Texas, she was convicted for practicing nursing without a license. Now, I don't know if you know how you have people who have an obsession with something and they convince themselves that they can do it and they do it. I don't know if this is what she's got going on or if she, here again, doesn't care. I don't know if she's in on it for the money. I mean, I don't know. But I'd really like to talk to her, because you did this once in Texas and then you're going to go on over to Michigan and do it again? Not only did she claim to be a nurse, but she claimed she had a master's of science in nursing. The nerve. Now, here we go. In May of 2023, she was hired by this nursing home, and she gave her credentials to the facility, and the name on the license had the same first name, but a different last name. I'm getting tongue-tied. And that can happen, because people get married and stuff like that. But now I don't know when it comes to nursing licenses, is that something that somebody would catch? Should she have had I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm so darn tongue-tied by this. But anyway, so she's in this nursing home and she's working, probably in training, because by the time May the 23rd rolled around, her conviction came back from the background check that the nursing home ran on her, because, she had to give fingerprints too. I guess she thought that they wouldn't tie the two together because it's 2 different states. I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking. But anyway, so that's how they got her. And they charged her with 2 counts, I forgot to say, of this pretending to be a nurse and identity theft. Now we are going to be going to Tennessee, where we're going to be talking about 49-year-old Bobby Blair and how she was running around the Tyson food plant pretending to be an LPN and sewing up people who get hurt from the chicken bones. And the bad part about that is her husband was in on it, and I personally think he should receive some charges too. I wonder if they fired him. But let's get into it.
She spent years treating thousands of patients, with all of them thinking that she was a licensed nurse. But there is a twist in this story. Thank you for joining us. I'm Carrie Sharp.
And I'm Rory Johnston. This so-called nurse worked at the medical clinic at the Tyson Foods plant in Shelbyville. Well, News Channel 5's Emily Luxon explains how she got caught faking it.
Since the early 1970s, the Tyson Foods plant in Shelbyville has employed thousands of people. Now one longtime employee is in some hot water.
It was an anonymous tip. I came in one Monday and received a phone call.
Shelbyville Police Detective Nathan Everhart learned Bobby Blair was working as a licensed practical nurse, or LPN, at the plant's medical clinic without a license. She's also married to the plant's manager.
It's just something that slipped through the cracks. I don't think anybody there knew that she didn't actually have a license. They just assumed that she did.
Detective Everhart says Blair graduated from the LPN program at Tennessee College of Applied Technology in McMinnville in 2007, but records from the Tennessee Board of Nursing show Blair failed the National Council licensure exam twice in 2007 and never took it again. She was using a fake license with the number of a legitimate LPN from Tennessee, but it's unclear who forged the document.
The Board of Nursing confirmed that the number on her license, A, was not for her, and that she didn't have a license, and B, belonged to, and there was actually two different copies with two different numbers that belonged to two different nurses.
The in-house medical clinic at the plant is staffed with 5 nurses who care for employees injured on the job.
They have treated pretty serious injuries. It's common they get punctures dealing with chicken bones and then lacerations from the equipment.
Employees at the plant did not want to discuss the matter on camera, but an anonymous team member did send us a statement.
The statement said in part, she undermined and downplayed our licensed professional medical judgment and actions to give the utmost care to our team members and patients. Not only has she done this to us, but to the Tyson Corporation as well. Blair is charged with 10 counts of impersonation of a medical professional and 2 counts of identity theft. She was released on bond. Emily Luxon, News Channel 5.
Thanks, Emily. Now, we did receive a statement from a spokesperson for the Tyson Corporation. It read, quote, "We take this issue very seriously. While we don't comment on active criminal matters, as soon as law enforcement reached out, we fully cooperated."
Let me tell y'all, I saved the best for last. We are going to be discussing, for our final story, Brigitte Claroux, 51 years old. She is considered to be a serial imposter in the field of nursing. So Brigitte is over in Ontario working in this clinic under the name Melanie Smith. And she began to make a patient feel very uncomfortable. She was giving intravenous drugs to this patient, or some type of intravenous therapy. And the patient began sobbing and crying out, wanting someone else to tend to her. Another nurse in the clinic, we'll call her the whistleblower. That'll make it easier. You know, she observed this behavior and she became uncomfortable with Melanie Smith's behavior with this patient. The whistleblower and another employee filed a formal complaint against Melanie Smith, this nurse Melanie Smith. I'm doing air quotes like you can actually see me. But anyway, they weren't just satisfied with doing this complaint. So what they did was they did what I like to do. Go to my good girlfriend Judy, Google, and Googled Melanie's name. Now, once they started looking into her and her registration, they discovered she wasn't registered to practice in Ontario. So, you know, they're thinking, okay, we got her now. She's not allowed to practice here. So they proceeded to Google just a little bit more, and they learned that Melanie was not Melanie. She was really Brigitte, and I'm not going to say the last name because I'm not sure if I butchered it when I said it the first time, so we just going to stick with Brigitte. So anyway, they find out that Melanie Smith is really Brigitte, and she was a fraud artist with a criminal record that spanned 3 decades and stretched across North America. That whistleblower said she nearly dropped her laptop. But anyway, hey, why not put a stop to this right now? She picked up the phone and called the police. They ended up charging her with 17 charges, which some of them included assault on 10 patients while posing as a nurse, and false documents. Let me see. Do I have anything else down? No. A couple of other things, but you pretty much get the picture. I'm saying that because, you know, I can't read my writing. Brigitte is was no stranger to the law, I should say, because she's got nearly 67 criminal convictions. She has been described by some people as like having a flamboyant character, and she's the type of person that is impossible to ignore or forget. But she still manages to fool people in positions to hire, as well as landlords and business partners. Once she impersonated a teacher in Canada, and in Florida, she forged prescriptions. She even has a conviction on her record for pretending to be a nurse in Colorado. And mind you, when they mention these 67 convictions that she has received thus far in her 51 years of life, they make it clear to say criminal convictions as an adult. So that makes me wonder, what's in her juvenile record? Because, I mean, they literally said that. You don't find that too often where someone's talking about someone's criminal record and they say such and such a charges as an adult, unless you're in a court, trying to do a sentence or in that type of field of work. But just in an article for someone to say 67 convictions as an adult, that leads me to believe that there are some things in that juvenile, and I would really love to know what they are. I also know that, juvenile records, they're supposed to be sealed. That's supposed to be in your childhood. And, I guess when you become an adult, you get a new start. But I can tell you that her very first conviction as an adult was when she was 19 years old, and it was for forgery. It was for forgery and impersonation. Now, although she had a conviction in Colorado for pretending to be a nurse, she is still wanted there in that state for applying for a critical care nursing job using forged documents, which include a registration number stolen from a real nurse. She also has 2 active warrants in Florida, but, they didn't even bother to say what they were for. I'm going to throw in a last but not least, because when she was working in Colorado, she stole a wallet from a woman that was at the hospital where she was working. And she began using that woman's ID to work at a doctor's office in Florida. She also swiped blank prescription pads from the doctor and was forging OxyContin prescriptions. Now, I know that I'm a little tickled. This is not funny. It's very serious and scary at the same time. I honestly would like to see her story in some type of like documentary or even a movie, like Netflix. Do something with this woman's life, because I am interested to know what has happened. It looks like most of her adult life, she has done these type of things, impersonating people, I shouldn't say people, places, and things, but, just impersonating people and forging documents. You figure 67 convictions and you're just in your 50s. I mean, come on. So this would really be an interesting movie to see on Netflix. What's got me curious is if that name that is supposedly her real name, if it really is her real name. This story has been very interesting for me, and it started with me finding out about these over 7,000 fake nurses that we've got running around from Florida. So as I looked into it and found nurse after nurse after nurse in multiple states, I think there will be a part 2, because for me, it's interesting. Now, it may not be interesting for everyone else, but I just think it's pretty interesting. I want to end this and mention something that was mentioned by some officials working on the Operation Nightingale investigation. As I said, there have been some prison sentences. There are people who are still waiting to be prosecuted, and there are people who are still waiting on plea deals. I will say that the officials in the investigation said that many of the students who passed their licensing exams, which were mainly in New York, they lost their certification. However, prosecutors did not charge those students who were victims of the scheme or who may have been involved with the school unknowingly. So, here you have people who I guess legit thought that they were nurses, and come to find out they weren't. Now, I don't know, in Operation Nightingale, they didn't explain how that part happened, because I would imagine if you went to school and you did your clinicals and you did everything, I would still think that your license should be upheld, but, maybe not. What do I know? I don't know a lot about the nursing field, but I do feel sorry for those who fell victim to this scheme unknowingly and unwillingly. But to all of those out there who are legit nurses, working in the field, doing their thing, taking care of patients, we've got them in schools, nursing homes, hospitals, doctors' offices, in the community, nurses everywhere. And I just want to give a big thank you to those. As I said in the beginning, you have dedicated your training, education, and life to doing that type of work. And I just like to thank you for it.